Hello, listeners, and welcome to another episode of Commercial Photographer. This week, we're following on our discussion from a couple of weeks ago about networking. Only this time, I've got an expert in the field in with us. So, welcome to the show, Tony Bowler from the business culture Hull and East Yorkshire.
Thank you very much for having me.
No problem. So, Tony, we don't need a huge introduction about the business culture, but can you give us an idea of what it is? Because I think it's really a network at its core. Is that really right?
It is. It's a difficult one. Our Achilles heel for the last 11 years, which is what we've been going now, is being called a networking group. We class ourselves as a business club because there's more than the networking that we do,
Yeah.
and we do lots of different types of events that we do, lots of types of sort of networking events. So when you say networking, people have an idea of your traditional networking where they meet
Yeah.
once a week and that's it. We're nothing like that whatsoever.
No. Well, I was meaning more a network rather than
Yeah,
networking
yes,
as kind
yes,
of in the business
absolutely. We
culture.
are a network, we are a support group, and we are a collaboration of businesses within the local region.
Perfect. Yeah. And then obviously with networking as part of it within that network, which is kind of what we're going to talk about
Absolutely, yeah,
today.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you're involved with networking, presumably as a facilitator, but also as somebody involved and wanting to get, things out of it as well. Kind of you see both sides, I presume.
Yeah, definitely facilitator. With the membership that we have, our main role is to facilitate, put events on, put them together, and ensure they get the best out of those. And also re-education as well, because a lot of people come in with old-fashioned ways of networking, shall we say,
Right. Yep.
which by that I mean the heavy salesy stuff, but that never
Right.
actually
Yes.
works.
Yeah.
So yes, to facilitate, but on the back of that, we obviously clearly use that as a platform to promote ourselves, clearly to bring on new members.
Perfect. And then are you also, as part of that, helping those members in your group with their networking? So in some ways, you're giving them guidance, you're giving them help in terms of getting the most out of it.
Yeah, yeah. It's a strange thing in that when you've been doing this for a long time, like we have, you see certain people do certain things, which is the very old-fashioned way of working. They might
Yeah.
reach out with their hand, and in the hand is a business card. It's like,
Yeah.
whoa, hang on, stop. You know what I mean? That's not what you do. So one of the things that we do a lot of is sort of educate and re-educate. And if I see things going on that I know is damaging, which it can damage their brand, if they're doing certain things that is not really connecting or building relationships, it's just straight in with a sale. We do tend to pull them away and say, look, maybe do it this way, because we've become friends with all our members, so we can
Yeah.
have that relationship with them.
Perfect. So you've talked a little bit about old-fashioned networking there and that not working. So do you want to tell us then what new-fashioned networking is?
Well, it's. I know it's an old cliche, but it is a relationship building. We did a seminar not so long back. We did a networking event not so long back, and I told people to follow up, but don't follow up with the sales.
Yeah.
And typically people did. And I needed to make them understand how it makes the other person feel when they don't really know them yet, and they've got a sales email and they've got a sales
Yeah.
message. So that's the old-fashioned way. But I also appreciate that you've got different people in the room, and that's the key part to all the networking, is to
Yeah.
understand who's in the room. If you've got the decision maker, you can talk at a certain level. And if you've got the sales and business development manager in the room, again, you've got to talk at a different level, because one can make decisions, one cannot. One's there to
Right.
get the business, one isn't.
Yeah.
So that's a massive part of networking, is understanding who's in that room and who you're talking to.
Okay, excellent. And in some groups you can pre-prepare for that, and the whole other show is about that, can't you? So some groups tell you who's going to be there, and you can kind of do your homework, while others you've got to kind of work it out in the moment, don't you?
You do, but I always ask, and if you don't ask, you don't get. So
Yeah,
no matter what networking I'm going to, yes, we facilitate, but also we do a lot of it. We go to a lot of networking
yeah,
events, and I always ask for the attendees list. And it's not GDPR, which they claim, because actually you're just asking for their name,
yeah,
which is public anyhow, and it's usually on the website. So
yeah.
I've always asked,
Ah, that's
and
interesting. So
I've
you take
always got.
Wow. So you take the approach, if you're kind of going to a networking event, you're a week out and they haven't sent a list, you just ask and say,
I
can
just
you
ask. I
send
just
one?
say, look, we're
Oh,
coming to the event on so and so, so and so. Please, could I have a attendee list?
amazing.
And if I come back and say it's GDPR, I go back and say, well, actually, I'm only looking for the name of business, which is public. I'm
Yeah,
not
you're not
asking for
asking for their
no.
phone number and the name of their wife and whatever else, are
I'm
they?
not
What
asking
school
for
their
their
kids go
email.
to?
I'm not asking for anything else. I'm just
Yeah,
asking
yeah,
for things that are public,
yeah.
and that is obviously clearly key, because when you go into that room, you need to know who you're going to see. Otherwise, as you know, when you get into a room full of people and you start a conversation off and you realise who they are, it's awkward then to pull away from that conversation to go to another conversation. And
Yeah.
again, that's a skill in itself, is learning to say, thank you very much. It's been great speaking to you. I'm now going to go speak to somebody else.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I really struggle in the meetings, getting stuck with the, interesting discussion to start with, but it's kind of run its course. You need to move on. Do you
Yeah.
have some kind of hints because that's really common, isn't it? That
I think
I'm
you've just
stuck
got to be
here and I don't
honest.
know what to do.
All the people in that room are there for one reason, which is to connect and engage.
Yeah,
So what you find is that when you go into a room full of people, that they're already within their safe bubble. I
yeah,
heard you mention the word tribe on your last podcast. Absolutely, it's just human nature to go into their
yeah,
tribe. But you're there to network, and you've got
yeah,
to realise that you're there to network. So yes, when you go into a group, but again, that's body language. Certain groups that are closed off don't even try and go in because they've closed the circle.
right,
So
yeah, yeah,
you've got to understand the body language. You've got to understand that if they've left a gap in the little circle, that's a gap to come in. And
right,
you walk in and you said, "Hi, my name is Tony. I just thought I'd introduce myself." Then the
yeah,
conversation starts. And then when you want to get away from that, it's the difficult part. But you've got to be say, look, right, it's been great speaking to you. I'm now going to go speak to somebody else. Thank you very much.
yeah.
And then you pull away. It's hard, and it sometimes can be embarrassing for some people, but you've got to do that to get to your next little pod of people.
Makes sense. Perfect. That's interesting as well. What you say that's opening because I find it's interesting. Sometimes you look around and there are closed groups, aren't there? People who clearly know each other are used to it, and presumably also though as networkers ourselves, we have to try and make our effort to keep the groups open so people can come in.
And that's it. And a lot of people don't realise what they're doing, but it's human nature.
Yeah.
And you do find that when there's a close conversation, they know each other, they've closed that group off. If you go into that, it's that can be quite annoying for the group that have obviously closed off the group. But you've got to be conscious of your body language, the people around you, the eye contact, and everything else. And then you've got to find your way around the room. But that's why you should have some kind of, not just the facilitators, but you should have some kind of ambassadors or key members of that particular thing that are there to guide you around the room as well.
Yeah, it's almost to pick up those people who are kind of stuck in between groups and can't quite get into the next one.
Yeah, and you'll see them because they're either by themselves, they're on the phone. You can sense they don't feel
Yeah,
comfortable in the room, and as a facilitator, or we have ambassadors. We have like 10 ambassadors that are in the room with them. They're picking up on that, and then they're saying, "Oh, how are you getting on? You know, why are you here? Blah blah blah. Can I introduce you to somebody?"
yeah.
And then they're moving them about, which helps the flow.
Yeah, perfect. And then some groups you get stuck, which is more difficult are with tables, don't you? So when everyone's milling, that's great. But sometimes there's a period on a table, isn't it? And you can feel quite stuck then, can't you? But then it's much more difficult.
It's a funny thing, but we realised that 11 years ago when we found First Form that if you have tables and chairs, they sit down and you've lost them. There's no
Yeah,
networking going on no more.
yeah, yeah.
So we don't have tables and chairs.
Amazing.
So we make them stand up.
Yeah.
So in other words, we have them. I think they're called Japanese tables, where they're quite tall and sort of
Oh yeah,
round,
you can kind of
where you can
lean
put your
on them
drink
like in
on.
some bars and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So we have them scattered about, but
Okay.
we deliberately on a sort of event type thing, not a
Yeah.
formal meeting one, obviously, but in an informal gathering, we don't have tables and chairs, and we say no, don't put them out
Just for that purpose.
because they sit down and you can't get rid. That's it. They're stuck now. They're there, and it's
Yeah.
difficult to get away, and they are not networking either.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
It's almost like at a wedding, isn't it? When you get stuck with the awkward uncle and you just can't get away.
It
See
is,
what I
it
did?
is, and that's a nightmare wedding planning, and who's going to sit with who. I'd hate to do that job.
That's it. So, if we're going into a networking meeting, what? should we be thinking that we need to come out with it? Because it's always good to go in with a plan, isn't it? So what is it that we're thinking we need to go out of it? Because you're saying it shouldn't be a sale, and I agree with that. I mean, the odd time one will just randomly come up, won't it? But that's not the plan. That's not what you're coming out for. What is it that you are trying to come out for?
It depends on what wording. It's all language. If you're going in there to make a referral, in other words, you're looking for work. That's one thing. You're going in there with the heavy sales, which I think never ever works unless you've caught somebody at that specific time that
Yeah.
needs that particular thing, which is very rare.
No, that's it.
I
I mean,
like
I had that the other day. I rarely go and sell, but somebody literally was going, "Oh, I'm really struggling with X, Y, Z," and then it's like it just lands in your lap and it's the right time. But I wasn't going in forcing that, but
yeah.
it does just happen,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
yeah.
The odd
It,
time.
it, it is very rare. So me, I go in there to make a connection, and the word connection is different to going in there for a referral.
Right.
I'm going into that meeting to see if there's anybody that can help and support me. And
Yeah.
similarly, I'm going in there to help and support them.
Yeah.
So the language is different. Hi, my name is Tony. What is it you're looking for, and how can I help you? There's a
Yeah.
different language barrier now, and then all of a sudden, because you've shown the interest and you've asked how you can help them, they're more likely to open up and say, "Well, actually, do you know, I'm trying to find so and so. I'm trying to do this, or I'm struggling with that." And then the
Yeah.
conversation flows more of a relationship building, matey type conversation than just straightforward with your sales pattern, your sales pitch.
Yeah. That makes sense. So it's that kind of that kind of help. Um, and if you're talking about referrals, are you talking about asking people if they can connect to you, asking them if you can help them with referrals? What do you mean by
It's anything. We this is where you asked about how different or how modern
yeah,
our networking is. It's because we genuinely want to help and support the people first before we're looking at what we need. So it could be anything. It could, and again, it depends on who you're talking to. If you're talking to the sales and business development, or you're talking to the owners. But if you offer support and help, it genuinely looks like you are willing to help. Therefore,
yeah,
it's better than simply saying, who does your website?
yeah,
Who does your mobiles?
yeah,
Are you looking for a new telecoms? Then what you're doing there is you're putting people on the spot because the answer is going to be no.
yeah. It's almost
So
like a cold call
it's
suddenly, isn't it?
almost like, yeah, I do websites. Do you want one?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, no. But
yeah,
if you say, actually, I build websites and I'm looking for people in this particular region, and if you've got any contacts that are looking for a website, would you mind putting my name forward? Then actually, you've taken that pressure off them asking
yeah,
the
yeah,
question, yes or no, to a website. There's a different language to use. And genuinely, if it's support, I've just got a new CRM, or I'm looking for a new CRM and I'm not quite sure what I'm looking for. What do you use? Or is SEO dead these days? Is it going to AEO now? Once the questions start coming, or what they're struggling with, or what they want answers to, you can then genuinely come back and talk to them about things and help them and guide them as well. So that's what I always do. I'm looking to help first. And do you know what's really weird? If
mm,
when you first meet somebody, they tend to always say, "What do you do?"
yeah.
Try changing that and say to them, "Why do you do what you do?"
Okay,
All of a sudden, they've gone blank.
right.
So what you're trying to get into that is the emotional side of why they do what they do as opposed to what they do. It's a different way of asking them,
Yeah,
and then they have to think of why they do what they do.
they can't
And if
just
it's
reel off the pattern.
yeah, and if it's just like it just pays the bills, mate,
Yeah,
they've got no emotional attachment to that particular thing that they're doing.
yeah, yeah.
So try that. It really is a
Oh, that's
powerful thing to
interesting.
say to them.
Yeah, I remember a car leasing guy I met ages ago networking, and yeah, when you get down to real conversation with him, he's like, "I don't really care about cars. Yeah, just pays the bills."
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
really
So
interesting.
they've got no emotional to
Yeah,
that particular thing or product. It's just paying the bills.
yeah,
Whereas we took a long time working out why. And we believe nobody should feel alone in business because it's a lonely place.
yeah,
So that's why we're focused on more helping and supporting and guidance and pointing them than we are actually getting them to sign up to us. Even if they're not a member, it doesn't matter to us. I want to
yeah,
help you.
yeah.
And that's the difference between the hard sell and trying to build a relationship.
Okay. That's interesting. And then maybe we move on to, so a lot of networking groups then kind of have the one-to-one, that kind of, whether it's online or in person, you get kind of 5 minutes for the person, or maybe even if you just kind of on the floor, you end up with that situation. That's then kind of a little bit different, isn't it, to that kind of more group chat couple of minutes? Have you got kind of thoughts about best ways to approach that and what you want out of those?
And again, when you call about networking, you said it earlier. There's so many different things that are associated with the word networking. You've got the
Yeah,
open, the big ones. You've got the round tables. You've got the ones where you get 60, 90 seconds, whatever it might be. Um, Elevator pitch, get the elevator pitch right, and
yeah,
everything else. You've got to get it to a point where, as soon as you said what you're going to say, they understand what you do.
yeah,
There's nothing where, and what the face to face does is when you're explaining what you do and they're blank,
yeah.
you've
Then
not,
yeah,
then you haven't explained yourself very well.
yeah, yeah,
So then you go to the next one and you redo that or you retweak it. You've got to be able to tweak your elevator pitch or whatever you want to
yeah,
call it. You've got to be able to change as you go along for the different
yeah,
person. So getting that rapport. If you're technical, clearly you are technical. That's your job. If you meet someone like you can talk all day long technical.
yeah,
But as soon as you get that rapport, and within 10 seconds you realise they're not as technical as you, you've got to adjust and
yeah,
adjust
yeah.
as you go down to make it simple language, no jargonistic words, make it simple for them so that actually you're on the same level. So they walk away saying, I know what you do. So
Okay.
it's when you meet anybody, you've got to have something prepared, but also be able to adjust that on the fly as you're going along to the person you're speaking to. Don't always have the
Yeah,
same pitch. Don't matter
yeah,
because
yeah.
it doesn't match.
That makes sense. Cool. And then obviously in terms of photographers, do you think there's kind of specific things for photographers they can get from networking groups? Because I think kind of as photographers, they're very, in some ways, quite specially placed in terms of the locality, in terms of things they can offer and things. I mean, do you have thoughts on kind of photographers in particular and what they can gain from networking that might be different
Well,
from
I think with
people?
photography, it's always the outcome, because
Yeah.
clearly the outcome is what matters on photography, on videography, all that kind of stuff. So actually, we have photographers at all of our events,
Yeah.
and when you first start off, you've got to give them some kind of a brief, because if you don't, they'll go on their creative juice and they'll do what they think is
Okay.
right. So you have to give them some kind of brief as to what it is you're trying to capture.
Yeah.
We want energy, we want laughter, we want the room looking full. So even if you've only got 20 people in a big room, get them together.
Yeah.
I don't want to see one person stood by themselves on the phone, for instance. It might be a beautiful
Yeah. Yeah.
picture, but it doesn't represent the network
Yeah.
we're at. So you've got to give them some kind of brief. Make sure that obviously clearly that you've got the room looking full, you've got
Yeah.
happy, smiling people. And if there's key people in the room, like you've got your sponsors or you've got your members, which might have a different badge on or something,
Yeah.
make sure they know who they are because they're the
Okay.
ones that are paying as well.
Yeah. And then what about photographers as networkers in terms of them being in the room, getting something out of it?
Well, again, it depends on how. I was going to say how the organisers also promote them, because obviously,
Right.
clearly, prior to, for us, for instance, we would promote them as well. So they're
Right.
always on the promotion list. They're always there on the website. You know who's
Yeah.
going to be in the room. You know
Right.
who the photographer is because they've got a big bag of stuff and they've got probably a tripod and a big camera at you. So you
Yeah.
know who
Yes
they
and no.
are.
So some network events, they're not photographing, I mean, they're just there as participants.
Oh,
Or
sorry.
maybe they're
Yeah,
doing it
sorry.
as a pool.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. In that instance, and yeah, they've got to be the same as any other punter that's in the room. They've
Yeah.
got to understand their networking. They've got to understand how they communicate. They've got to understand how they can pitch differently. So that if they're just the same as any other punter in the room trying to appear, they've got to also. It's usually you can usually tell who people are within the room if you've been in networking for a long time.
Yeah.
But they would be like anybody else. They need that pitch. And when I say a
Yeah.
pitch, I don't mean a sales pitch. They've all got to be very. We've got one photographer in Hull who's very shy,
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant in terms of his photography. But when you put him in a room as a punter, he just stands in the corner and looks at his phone because he's
Yeah.
not comfortable as an. But
Yeah.
put him in front of the camera doing the stuff, he's brilliant.
Yeah.
He will go around, he'll talk, he'll smile, he'll get the pictures. But you put him in a room as him promoting himself, he just stands in a corner and just doesn't look at he looks at his phone. So we then have to get him to move around.
Yeah.
So they've got to have the same skills as everybody else in that room with communication, how to go and talk to somebody, what to say, how to say it, when not to say it. So they need the same skills as everybody else.
Yeah, that's interesting what you're saying about somebody being shy when they're not behind a camera. So it's almost like taking that skills they've got behind the camera, where they're already naturals at organising people, get it, and almost like I guess you could almost imagine the network group as a photo shoot. You know what? Except you're not taking the photos, but you can use those same skills which you've got, but just got to
Yeah.
transfer them.
Yeah. It's amazing. He's a really nice guy as well. The one I'm thinking of is a really nice guy, brilliant behind the camera, really engaging. It's like he just simply changes from giving him a
Yeah,
camera, unbelievable. Say there's a networking event, he'll just not engage. He didn't know how
yeah,
to.
yeah. And I don't think that's uncommon, isn't it? I think quite a few people have that. Cool. So I think the other thing we need to talk about is after the event, because we had a whole show about before the event, but also it doesn't end when everyone leaves, does it?
It doesn't. And just because you've got a business card or something doesn't mean you can sell. And that's the point. It's just an opportunity to engage.
Yeah,
So you've got to follow up. Now, the way that we always encourage people to follow up is, it was great to see you at so and so event. It'll be great to have a cup of tea and a chat to see if we can help and support each other.
yeah,
The language is now different. You want
yeah,
you want to help and support each other. If you was just saying it was great to see you at a networking event and you talked about your mobiles, can I give you a quote?
yeah,
You've just killed the relationship dead,
yeah,
because what they're going to do is they're going to just say, well, they probably won't even going to reply to you, and then they're going to unconnect from you and you won't see them again.
yeah,
So the follow up is absolutely massive, but you've got to do the follow up right. And you've
yeah,
got to do it within the first sort of day, 2 days of the
yeah,
event,
yeah,
so
yeah,
that it's clearly fresh in someone's head.
yeah,
But what you're trying to get from that is you're trying to get a meeting, an informal chat meeting, and genuinely, when you go to any meeting, it's listening. It's
yeah,
listening. I heard one of your podcasts earlier where, and it's a classic. You're talking to somebody, even if it's a one-to-one follow-up after an event or during the event itself, and you can tell they're not present. It's
yeah,
just I'm too long in the tooth now. So when I know they've glazed over, or they're looking behind my
yeah,
shoulder, or they're picking up the phone, I just say, look, obviously you are too busy. You've got other things on your mind. I'll catch you later. Now
yeah,
that might be quite rude, but they've been rude to me. They're not
yeah,
giving me the time. They're not listening to me. They're looking over my shoulder. The phone's more important, and you can tell they've glazed over. They're not listening to
yeah,
me.
yeah,
So to me, or I just stop and I look over my shoulder and
yeah,
make it obvious that I've seen him look over my shoulder.
yeah, yeah,
So that is giving somebody the time and listening and asking questions makes. How is it going to make that person feel? It's going to make that person feel valued,
yeah,
and that's what this whole networking is about. It's making that person feel loved, feel valued, and you're asking questions. It's the same with a business card. I hate it when somebody. I don't give anybody a business card until they ask for a business card,
right, yeah, yeah,
because they've asked for it, so I give them it.
yeah, yeah,
If they put it straight in their pocket, I want it back,
right,
because everything I've done in my brand, my life, my business is on that business card.
yeah,
There's been a lot of thought gone into that business card, and if you
yeah,
just put it straight in your pocket, it means nothing. So whenever I get a business card, I look at it, I feel it, I touch it, I
okay,
turn it over, I
yeah,
ask
yeah,
questions about it. I didn't know you worked at office was in so and so street. Well, I didn't realise you did that as well, because on the business card might have other services that
yeah, yeah,
they've not talked about. Again, you've shown an interest in that person and in that business card. It's a big thing. People from Japan and Hong Kong, we've got a friend in Hong Kong that comes over.
They have a whole
And if you
ceremony,
ask,
don't they? Almost of the
they,
handing the
they
business card.
almost
Yeah,
present it
yeah,
to you, because it's everything that there is on that business card. So take the time to look, read, feel before you put it in your pocket. Yeah. But yeah, the importance is the follow up. Absolutely, the follow up, and never assume you're a website developer. I've got a website. I don't need you, right?
yeah,
But I'm going to speak to you all day long. because I want to get a relationship with you, because I know for a fact you've got loads of businesses that you're working on and that you know, and also the connections that you know. So I want to come
Yeah.
to you and I want to genuinely listen to you. I want to genuinely take an interest in what it is that you do. And then when we become friends, then the business just happens and the connections just happen. So
Yeah.
always never judge anybody by what they do. And that's a
Yeah.
massive thing that I always tell people. You never know who that person is or who they know.
Yeah.
Just because I do websites and I don't want a website, always speak to them. Always
So
speak to everybody.
my only caveat there sometimes is it a proper business for them? Some networking groups, it's a side hobby, it's a hustle, they're selling a few candles, and then I'm not so sure. I think as long as as long as it's what they're passionate about and is their business, I think there's maybe some examples where it's just they're along for the
That
ride.
might be right, but I'll give you a classic example. We used to have, when we first set up 10 years ago, we used a certain building for our events, like our
Mm.
masterclass events and networking events and so on. And part of that was I gave them the delegate list. That was
Yeah.
part of the payoff, the contra deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I saw the guy once and he's putting a tick and a cross and a line and
Okay, so he's
whatever.
like selecting who he's
It's
going to.
selecting on the name
Yeah.
that's on the piece of paper. And one lady was a flower arranger.
Right.
Let's just call
Yeah.
her Mandy. I don't know, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Mandy, flower arranger, put a line through her. And I just says to him, why have you put a line through that
Mm.
person? Oh, well, she just does flowers. I don't really want to speak to her.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, absolutely, I get that. That's her hobby. She doesn't need to work
Yeah.
because her husband is the manager of MKM in Hull.
And then suddenly,
And
yeah.
suddenly his face dropped. That was one of his
Yeah.
key clients that he needed to get in touch with. So
Yeah.
it dropped her because she was a flower arranger as a
Yeah.
hobbyist because
Yeah.
she didn't need to work. And she also chose not to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yet her husband was the leader of
Yeah. Yeah.
MKM. And it was just, the penny dropped. And after that, he never judged the book by its cover, if you like. He
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
spoke to everybody after that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. And then also, I guess we're running out of time a little bit. There's the follow up to the follow up to the follow up. It's not just, is it? It's not just do the meeting, do the follow up.
No,
I'm all done with my networking.
again, part of the seminar we did was how to break relationships and then how to build relationships.
Yeah.
Now, if you should be looking to build relationships, and there's always this thing about 7 points of contact and all that kind of stuff that people
Yeah.
talk about. But the first contact is, hi, it was great to see you at the event last night. Let's just keep in touch. Blank.
Yeah.
The next one might say, "Oh, by the way, I've seen this podcast that might interest you because you talked about this in when we met at the networking event. I thought I'd share it with you." Bang.
Yeah.
Next one, a couple of months later. "Oh, by the way, I've seen a networking event coming up near you. Are you going to it?" Bang. So what I'm saying there is that you're not selling, or you're just giving them some bits of information and
Yeah.
touching base with them, and then eventually, obviously, that then becomes more relationship building. "Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, Tony, nice to see you at so and so. What did you think of the football last night?" Blah
Yeah.
blah 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 blah. And then before you know it, you then got the relationship built. Then it's, "Oh, by the way, Tony, I've got someone that might interest you on your networking. Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
I've got someone that might interest you." So all of a sudden, you've built the relationship up, but you've got to do that in stages,
Yeah.
and you've got to build it up like that. You don't just go straight for the jugular, otherwise, they're going to just disconnect from you.
Yeah. Makes sense. I think that's an amazing point to finish on. There is so much more we could say, but we are running out of time. So thank you so much for taking the time to be with us, for sharing all of this amazing information with our listeners. And listeners, I will see you next week.
No problem. Thank you.
Thanks.